What is up, guys? You've got the Oracle there, and I'm back on MTGO for a new Host of the Gatewatch 8 for draft. And we have a pack that's not too powerful. Some people like Captain's Claws. I'm not one of that people, so I don't think it's gonna be my pick. I just don't think it's very powerful. The only good thing about first picking that is that it lets me be more open. That being said, I think there are some other spells that are just better. So we have a Bursting Hulk, which is quite strong. It's also a nice thing to first pick because it's only 1 green and a 7 drop, so you can also end up splashing it, and it's quite strong. There's also the Vampire, which is dual colored but very strong in a very strong archetype. So yeah, first picking a dual colored card is not my favorite, but I might still do that. And I think those two creatures are better than anything else. So my choice is either gonna be Hulk or Vampire. Most of the time I would take the Hulk, but I've been drafting a lot of green decks and I've been uploading a lot of green decks so far, so I'll just take the Vampire. And here we are rewarded, I would say. I mean, it's not reward, it is luck. But someone passed us a Displacer and a Soothsayer. The issue is that I'm gonna have to take one of these two, and the people I'm passing the other one is likely to also end up in my color, which I don't appreciate too much. That being said, so an uncommon. Honestly, I don't think there's any uncommon in the set that's better than a Displacer. So I don't really understand that pick. Basically, this card is unbeatable if the opponent doesn't have a removal. That being said, the Soothsayer is amazing, but I'm not. Nisa's Judgment. I think I still like Displacer more than Judgment. I don't know. That's weird to get that passed to you. Kind of want to try out that. The issue is that it requires me to find colorless. Yeah, the Soothsayer is great, but I think that Displacer is extremely powerful too. As here, I think I'm gonna take Boulder Salvo. Surely I could just take Expedition Raptor, which is a decent white card. Another option would be to take Slow the Drone and build a white-black Eldrazi deck. I'm not sure how good that might be, but actually, given that I want colorless for my Displacer, I think taking the drone is actually quite decent, because if you have access to enough colorless, that cards become very good. And I might not end up playing some sort of ally synergies, but the Vampire is just good no matter what. Salvo is the more powerful card, but I think I'll take the drone to stay in color and in theme with what I already have. Alright, so we got an 4-speak isolation zone, so at least white is open, but I guess given that someone passed us a Displacer, I would expect to get a decent amount of white, pack 1 and 3. There's also a mage, which is good, but yeah, there's just not much that compete with the zone. And that's a start for a very powerful deck, as here I'm gonna take Translator, which fits the white-black colorless Eldrazi team very well. And I think I will most likely end up with a white-black deck, but not really a dedicated white-black cohort ally deck, but more something like a white-black Eldrazi deck. I think I'll end up with some allies no matter what, because there's not enough white-black Eldrazi's. That being said, as I mentioned, that cards like these are fine, even if I'm not gaining life or having any synergies with cohort. Shoulder to Shoulder would be a decent card, but Translator is great, and given the Displacer and the Slow the Drone, I think this card has even more value. As here, I think Commando is pretty clearly the best card. Prophet of Destruction is actually quite decent. I think I'm quite settled on white-black though, because I have 2 white, 2 good white, 2 very powerful white card, 2 decent black card, and a quite good white-black card, so I don't think I'll go into another direction. The Prophet is good if I'm playing some colorless sources. So if I stay white-black, well, Aeronaut is not my favorite, but I think I still like it more than the Chain Mage, so I'm gonna pick that. Well, that's a pretty late crawler, and that things works extremely well with my Displacer and my Aeronaut. It's gonna be my peak. Yeah, that's quite great. It also, provides mana for my 4-drops, as here I'm gonna take Chain Mage, which might not end up great. I mean, even in the right deck, this thing is quite mediocre, and this is probably not the right deck, so it will probably stay in the sideboard. The other option was Mighty Leap, and I don't think Mighty Leap is gonna be great in that deck either. Searing Light is not my favorite, but I could see myself splashing that, or having the option in sideboard to play that is good. Also, I could see myself wanting to be on the draw with that deck, and Searing Light is actually quite good if you are on the draw. I guess I'll take a Chain Mage, not too thrilled about that. And we will the Raptor, so that's great. Great news. White seems to be really open, which I can appreciate. And I might end up with just a touch of black, we'll see. But anyway, Displacer, Isolation Zone, and Cliffhaven Vampire are all great. Translator and Raptors are really fine 5-drops. And Slaughter Drone, if you have enough colorless, is great. I need to pick some colorless lands at some point, because Crawler is not gonna be enough. But that being said, I kinda like the start of this deck. Not too thrilled about the Chain Mage, but those are playable, so I will not complain. So Gambit currently kill my Crawler. Don't think I'll ever play that Aura. Auras are just bad. The only one I was fine playing was in what's the name of that set? Rise of the Eldrazi. You've got the Totemic Auras, I think was the name. And basically, if you creatures got destroyed, you would remove the aura and protect the creature instead, which made those a bit better than regular auras that often end up 2-for-1ing you. That being said, even the totemic things were quite weak to enchantment removal or things like that. Alright, I was looking at this Grasp of Darkness, but there's also an Isolation Zone. As I will cut those unappealing 2-drops and 4-drops. I think that Grasp is a little bit better maybe, but the thing is, now I have another Isolation Zone and an Expedition Raptor, so if I can make my mana base quite heavy on black with a touch of, quite heavy on white with a touch of black, that's gonna be better than if I have to play a Grasp that's double black. As I mentioned, I think Grasp might be a little bit better, I'm not even sure, and I think just for the mana requirement things, I'll just take Isolation Zone, which is gonna be more in theme with those other double white spell I do have. Also, since I kinda wanna to have access to colorless, I might play some lands that are not gonna be either plains or swamp, which makes me even more eager to take double white or over double black here. But in pure power level, the cards are really close. As here we have an Oblivion Strike, which is the best common of the set. I don't think there's much to compete with that. Isolation Zone is pretty much the same thing, but it's double colored. It can be destroyed, as this is just extremely strong and efficient. Cleric would be a nice addition to the deck. Crumbling Vestige 2, Crawler 2. I don't think I will will one of those three though, but Oblivion Strike is great. When you look at my 4-mana curve, it's quite impressive. Here we have a Dread Defiler, which looks actually quite good in my deck. It's basically a thing that lets you kill your opponent late game. The other option would be to take either the Lantern or the Settlement for colorless fixing, but I think I like that thing quite a lot. I've never played it. I've played against it. It was in a when I played against it. It was in a white-black shell, a bit like that, with a bunch of removal. And this is just a big creature that kind of ends the game with a decent ability too. So I guess I'll take that. Hopefully I'll end up with enough colorless for my displacer and my drone. But the good news with those is that even if I don't have enough colorless and I'm only playing crawler and translator, I mean it's still a 3/3 for 3 and a 2/2 for 2, which are just decent bodies in that set. So yeah, I guess I'll take the Dread Defiler and we'll see how good it will be, how well it will perform. As here we have a wall that fits the curve very well and works very well with, you know, the fact that I'm kind of slow and controlly and want to play bigger spells. So I do appreciate that a lot. And there's basically nothing else. I don't mind taking another translator. And we have a membrane with the Bailout Null picture there, which is rather funny. Yeah, there's not much else that helps me with the displacer and the slow the drone. It is just decent on the curve. I don't want to end up with too many 5-drop, but it's my third one, I think it's fine. And the second Searing Light is much worse than the first. As, you know, Translator 2 is fine, 3 might be a little bit too much, but 2 is definitely fine. As Slow the Drone fits the curve well. It's just a great card for my deck. Vision is strong, but I'm playing a control deck that's quite slow. I think Slow the Drone is better. Also, I think I'll end up with enough removal that I don't really need that too much anyway. So the deck is looking really, really good and powerful so far. I'm quite impressed. The power level is just through the roof. I don't know, but that 4-mana curve is great. Then I have 2 amazing 3-drops, a decent curve, and the deck is shaping up very well. Warden is not my favorite. It does fix for colorless, but it's really not a card that I do appreciate a lot. And Natural Endurance, I think it's better if you are a bit aggressive. That being said, it's one of the best tricks and definitely my favorite trick of the set. Tarsnare is decent. I think I'll just take the good creature on the curve. I mean, it's decent. Yeah, it is just a creature that I'll be happy to play on the curve more than anything else. As I guess null colors are decent. I'd rather play that than Chain Mage, and anyway I don't want a third Chain Mage. And I don't think there's any reason to take Call of the Gatewatch unless I got past 2 Gideons next booster, which seems rather unlikely. Maybe with 1 Gideon? No, because if you... Well, I guess if you have your Gideon, you will not... There's not many chance you can lose. I don't know. Maybe if I open a Gideon and got past an Obnixilis, that would have been good. But that seems not too likely. I guess I'll take the Waste. I don't like playing those too much, but if I end up with a Evolving Wilds, I'll be happy to be able to fetch that, as we will the Vestige, which is great. Really nice. It makes all the... I mean, I guess my 3 colorless spells better, and with a crawler and 2 translators, I feel fine playing those. As I mentioned, even if I don't have access to colorless, it's not... I mean, the cards are still decent. Corpse Churn. I guess... Whatever, I'll take that. I don't think I will end up playing that, but you never know. Alright, Sinkhole, Forest. Pretty much nonsense so far. Do I have synergies with that? I don't think so. The issue is that, I mean, it's not an issue, but this is the only card that really synergizes well with the grave. I mean, that does have some graveyard theme in it, I would say, and unless you have Bailout Null, there's not many reasons to put a bunch of things in your graveyard. I guess it works well with Dread Defiler, actually, never mind. I did not thought about that. As here we have an extremely broken pack for us, with probably the best uncommon of the set, which is also the best uncommon we could get, as a very powerful rare. It was mythic in the original Zendikar, now it's rare. There's also Disregard, which is amazing. Castigator and Zelaport Cutthroat would be fine too, I think. That pack is just so great for me, it's quite fantastic. That being said, I'm not sure which one is better. I think, most of the time, I would say that those 2 cards are pretty even in terms of power level. That being said, given that I have 2 Isolation Zone and an Oblivion Strike, I don't think I need stasis. I mean, I would play that and be very happy with it, don't get me wrong, but I think I kind of need the late game finisher a bit more than the removal at this point. But if I could pick both, oh, that'd be that'd be extremely sweet. So I guess it's gonna be a Filda Sovereign, which kind of ends my, it's gonna be my last costy spell, I would assume, and it's gonna be the end of my curve basically. And now I just need to fill my 3 and maybe a bit more, 1 or 2 more 2 drops be great, and I have a and I'll end up with a very solid white black control deck. So Bone Splinter doesn't work too well in my deck, and I have other removals available. This pack doesn't have much. I guess Mindraker works with Isolation Zones and Oblivion Strike. That seems a bit light. I mean, even when discard is good, it's not that amazing. That being said, I don't think I have anything that can gain life, so I don't think the Blood-Bomb Vampire is gonna be great. Actually, a Lion Encampment provide me with colorless for my things, as well as colored mana for my Scythe Master and my Cliffhaven Vampire. But the thing is, it's a bit like a waste. With that, I can't cast my Isolation Zone, Expedition Raptor, and Sovereign that are double whites, so I think I'll just take Mindraker. Not my favorite pick, but there is not much that compete with it here. Alright, still nothing I can really play early on. I guess Stonehaven Medic is a decent defensive card. I like Griffin a decent amount, but I have so many 4-drops, and they are all better, except for the Mindraker maybe. I don't think... Actually, Bane... Because my deck has actually 2 Translator, so jumping from 5 to 7 is not that hard. I think I have enough late game though. I'll still take the Bane. The Medic is just not appealing, and the Griffin doesn't fit the curve very well. Well, Syrian Steward is mostly gonna be a 2-drop since I cannot really gain life, but I don't mind that. Also, it's not just a 2-drop because I'm gonna be playing white-black, and in most white-black deck that thing is very threatening. So the opponent might be more eager to use the removal or make trades. So I think it has a bit more value than just a 2/2 for 2, even though I have nothing to gain life yet. Actually, I have the Sovereign, but I guess if I'm attacking with the Sovereign freely, I don't really need Steward to. Skimmer is a card that I do like, but I need the Steward for the curve, basically. And the Crawler is actually going to be great looking at my curve, which, is sweet. And we got Force Peak Steady Snare. That's amazing. White is completely wide open. That's quite crazy. I would not mind playing a grass, but Steady Snare is just much better. And the deck is looking completely broken, honestly. I mean, the removals I do have, the power level, that's quite crazy. As here, I have a bat, which I can appreciate. It's just a decent flyer. Again, I don't really have the gain life synergies, but it also has Death Touch, so it can trade with pretty much anything. It fits the curve decently. It is just great. And I think this is 23 spells, and if that ends up being my main deck, I'm completely happy. That's a very, very powerful deck. Guess I could pick Myrder. Not my favorite thing to play. I kind of want to take Swarm Surge. That card is extremely dangerous. I don't want to lose to that. Ghostly Sentinel, I think, will make the main deck of a Mindraker. And we will the Cutthroat. Can I really use that, though? I'm playing 18 creatures, which is quite a lot. It also works well with the Steward, kind of, and the Familiar. I might want that, actually. I think I like that more than an Aeronaut, actually. Aeronaut might be a bit better to do some blocks, but this effect is quite powerful. It also buys a lot of time if I can play it early on. Guess I'll take a Mire there, not my favorite though. I think I will not end up playing that. I think my deck, even if I cast those and I cannot use them, I'll still be fine. I think the only way I can really lose is if I have mana issues, if I miss my double white and I cannot cast those. So I think I'll just try to make my mana base as good as possible, and yeah, that's pretty much gonna be it. We will the Griffin though. Do I like Griffin more than a Null Caller? Griffin also synergizes well with Stewart, which is nice. So I think I'm gonna end up playing that. And with the Familiar, by the way, curving Familiar into Griffin is always sweet. I think at this point I need to cut a 4-drop for the curve purposes. I think I'll end up playing 17 land. My curve is quite high, but I have 2 Translator and a Crawler, so I feel like it's fine. Nullcaller is not too exciting either. So I think it's gonna be the main deck. Look at that curve. 5, 5, 5, 4, 1, 2. The curve is amazing. The power level is just huge. The deck looks extremely strong. That's probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest deck I've ever built in Oath of the Gatewatch so far. I mean, 2-zone plus a snare plus a strike plus... Searing Light is not amazing, but I think it's quite decent in my deck. There's nothing that I'm not happy with. Like the weakest card I would say are the Sight Master, which is a very decent creature, and the Searing Light, which is nothing special but not bad either. Mortuary Mire is not my favorite, but I don't have any other land that enters the battlefield tap, so I think it's fine. If I can buy back a Felidar Sovereign at some point, that'd be great. And I think I'm gonna add something like it's a black, so most likely 10-5. Yeah, 10-5 seems fine. Yeah, okay, that's what... most of the time I do not agree with MTGO, but here I will agree since it's gonna be 7 black, kind of the vestige. If I have 1 black, I can cast any black spell. And yeah, I might have a bit trouble casting my black 2-drops though, maybe. That could be an issue. That being said, I kinda like the fact that 10 planes means I'll be casting those double white easily. I think that's gonna be my mana base. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the draft. This deck doesn't look extremely fun, but it looks extremely strong. I guess we'll see how it performs in the next round. Hopefully I will not just die to being flooded or mana screwed. As I mentioned, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to leave a like or subscribe, it's appreciated. And I guess I see you guys for round 1.